The movie begins with Naren, a researcher who becomes separated from his team and accidentally ends up trapped inside the back rooms. Naren finds a radio station in one of the rooms. He quickly broadcasts a message saying, "I was with my team, but somehow I ended up in the back rooms, and I'm not alone here. There's something else in here, something terrifying. If anyone can hear this, please get me out of here. I need help." A moment later, a bird suddenly flies through a doorway and crashes onto the floor. As Naren cautiously approaches it, the bird unexpectedly gets back up and flies away. Curious, he follows it farther into the maze and soon discovers feathers from the same bird scattered across the ground. Suddenly, Naren spots a terrifying entity. Panicked, he immediately runs for his life and eventually stumbles into a strange room covered with images of a tropical island. Before he can escape, the entity catches up to him and brutally kills him. Next, we're introduced to Clark, the owner of a furniture store. His life has completely fallen apart after his wife throws him out of their home because of his drinking problem and uncontrollable temper. Clark visits a therapist named Mary and tells her everything that's happened. He explains how his wife kicked him out, how they constantly argued, and how he's now completely alone. The next day, Clark is filming a commercial for his furniture store in his store's basement. After the shoot wraps up, his employee Kate tells him that the lights keep flickering and suggests that he get them repaired. Later, Clark calls in an electrician to inspect the problem. He takes the technician down to the basement, where the technician opens the breaker box. Inside, he notices two unusual red switches hidden beneath all the black ones. Strangely, those switches aren't even connected to the building's electrical system. That night, the lights throughout the store begin flickering before suddenly shutting off. Clark gets into his car and drives to his house. He parks outside and quietly stares at it for a long time, but he never goes inside. Instead, he returns to his store, pours himself a drink, and turns on the television. Suddenly, the TV changes channels on its own, and mysterious footage of the backrooms begins playing on the screen. Moments later, the television abruptly shuts off. At the same time, Clark notices the basement lights flickering again. Frustrated, he heads downstairs, opens the breaker box, and flips every black switch off. But somehow, the electricity stays on. With no other option left, he presses the two mysterious red switches, finally shutting off the power. As Clark walks back upstairs, he suddenly notices a strange light glowing from inside one of the walls. Curious, he walks closer and presses his ear against it. To his shock, he passes straight through the wall and finds himself inside the backrooms. Inside, he discovers a massive pile of chairs, tables, and shelves, as if countless people had tried to build a way out. Startled, Clark immediately steps back through the wall and returns to his store's basement. But now that he knows where the wall leads, he decides to go back into the back rooms, determined to uncover the truth behind this mysterious place. As he explores deeper, Clark notices a stop sign. Nearby, he finds the same bird lying dead on the floor. He continues walking until he comes across a caveman placard. Mounted inside it is a radio that broadcasts stations from different countries. He keeps moving and soon discovers a crawlspace door. As soon as he opens this door, he finds a bag. It's Naren's bag, the same guy we saw at the beginning of the movie. Clark then crawls through the crawlspace and emerges in another room. Inside, he notices a pair of shoes and a pair of slippers, both partially buried in the floor. There's also a chair lying there. Suddenly, he hears someone approaching. Without wasting a second, Clark runs back the way he came and escapes through the same wall into his store's basement. Later, Clark visits Mary again and tells her that he's discovered a mysterious place hidden inside his own store. Mary looks at him and asks, "Have you been drinking?" Clark replies, "I haven't had a drink in days. I'm telling you the truth." He even shows her a hand-drawn map of the backrooms, but Mary believes he's hallucinating and refuses to believe a word he says. Frustrated, Clark promises that he'll return with proof before walking away. Clark then visits Kate's house, where she's spending time with her boyfriend, Bobby, a film student. Clark offers to pay them extra if they help him investigate the mysterious place. They agree, and Clark asks Bobby to bring his camera so they can document everything. From this point on, the footage is shown through Bobby's camera. Kate notices tape covering part of the wall and asks, "Why did you put tape on the wall?" Clark calmly replies, "That's not a wall, it's a door." Kate laughs, thinking he's joking. Then, right in front of them, Clark walks straight through the wall. Kate and Bobby are left completely speechless after witnessing the impossible. A moment later, they hear Clark calling from the other side. "You guys can come in too." Bobby steps into the back rooms first, followed by Kate. The moment they enter, they're completely stunned by what they see and can hardly believe their eyes. Soon they notice another room located far below them. Clark grabs a rope, ties it around Bobby's waist, and carefully lowers him into the room. As soon as Bobby reaches the bottom, he discovers thousands of shirts scattered across the floor. Then, out of nowhere, he spots an entity. Terrified, Bobby immediately shouts, "Pull me out of here!" Clark and Kate quickly pull on the rope and manage to rescue him before the entity can reach him. Bobby desperately tries to untie the rope wrapped around his waist. Suddenly, the entity grabs the rope and violently drags Bobby back into the same room. Since the rope is tied to a bed, the bed slides across the floor and crashes into Kate and Clark, knocking both of them into the room as well. Once inside, they discover that Bobby has already been brutally killed by the entity, and the entire room is covered in blood. Kate and Clark immediately try to escape, but without warning, Kate suddenly disappears. Clark can still hear her voice. She calls out, "I'm behind the glass." Confused, Clark replies, "There's no glass here. It's just a wall. Where are you?" At that very moment, the same entity silently appears behind Clark. It picks up Bobby's camera and turns off the recording. After that, we see Mary listening to the voicemail messages Clark left for her. In the recordings, he explains that he entered the back rooms and that he will never return. After hearing the messages, Mary goes to Clark's furniture store. She heads down to the basement, where she notices the same mysterious wall Clark disappeared through. A moment later, she watches a fly pass straight through the wall. Completely shocked, Mary decides to step through it herself and ends up inside the back rooms. As she explores deeper, she enters a room where a painting of the entity hangs on the wall. The creature resembles a pirate with one wooden leg. At the same time, she finds Clark there and asks, "How long have you been here? What is this place?" Before Clark can answer, they hear someone approaching. Clark quickly walks over to Mary and quietly says, "Stay completely calm." But then, without warning, he grabs her by the throat and chokes her until she loses consciousness. When Mary wakes up, she finds herself tied to a chair. Besides Clark, there are three strange-looking figures in the room. A man sitting at a dining table, a woman standing behind Clark, and a short man sitting in a wheelchair. Mary asks, "Who are these strange people?" Clark replies, "This place created them. They aren't real. They're just like my furniture, lifeless." As he speaks, Clark cuts small pieces from one of the figures, places them onto plates, and says, "This is our food." He then opens a refrigerator. Inside, Mary sees Kate's severed head. The horrifying sight leaves her completely terrified. Clark then pulls strands of hair from the strange woman and places them on Mary's head. Mary pleads, "Untie my hands. We can escape from here together." Clark calmly replies, "I searched for peace for years, and this place finally gave it to me. I'm never leaving." Mary answers, "If you want to stay here, then stay. Just untie my hands. I'm leaving." Clark eventually agrees and unties her, but at that moment, the strange-looking woman runs away to alert her master. Moments later, the entity arrives. This time, we see its full appearance. It's a giant pirate-like creature with a wooden leg. The pirate grabs Clark, lifts him off the ground, and bites deeply into his shoulder, making Clark scream in agony. While the creature is distracted, Mary makes a run for it. The pirate immediately chases after her. After running through countless hallways, Mary reaches a basement that looks exactly like the basement of Clark's furniture store. Seconds later, the pirate catches up to her. Mary grabs a wooden stand and swings it at the creature's wooden leg. The powerful strike breaks the wooden leg, knocking the pirate to the ground. But even then, the creature keeps crawling toward her before climbing on top of her. Thinking quickly, Mary reaches into her pocket and pulls out a stone. She repeatedly smashes the pirate's face with it until the creature is badly injured and finally backs away. The moment she gets the chance, Mary jumps to her feet and crawls into a narrow passage. The pirate tries to follow her, but its massive body is too large to fit through the opening. As soon as Mary emerges from the passage, several doctors suddenly surround her and spray her with knockout gas, believing she's a threat. Within seconds, she loses consciousness. When Mary wakes up again, she's taken to a man named Phil, who asks, "How did you get here?" Mary explains that she entered through a hidden doorway in the basement of a furniture store. Phil then shows her a photograph of the store and asks if it's the same place. Mary confirms that it is. Next, he shows her a picture of Clark. Wanting answers, Mary asks, "What is this place?" Phil finally begins explaining everything. He tells her, "I used to build MRI machines. That's when I first discovered this place. After that, I gave up building MRI machines and dedicated my life to researching it. Doors leading here have been appearing all over the world, and all I want to know is why." During the interview, Mary asks him what will happen to her and whether she'll ever be released. Phil quietly tells her that the decision isn't his to make. Sometime later, we see that the Backrooms have possessed Mary as well. Her face becomes completely unnatural and she turns emotionless and lifeless. And that's where the movie ends.